Welcome back. It's 23 minutes after 3. Now, it's been a tough year. COVID-19 has changed the way we interact with the world around us. As South Africans, we have grappled with job losses, power cuts, and looting. Sometimes it feels like too much. Now, according to the South African Depression and Anxiety Group, an estimated 23 suicides happen every day in South Africa, and 230 serious attempts take place. Well, to talk about this, Mthenjane, founder of The Space Between Us, is joining us now. Mr. Mthenjane, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us here on The Lead on eNCA. It is, of course, October. It is Mental Health Awareness Month as well. And during this pandemic, we're seeing a rise in cases of suicides and depression. But before we discuss anything in detail, can I just begin with an overriding question first, if you don't mind? What is mental health?
Good afternoon, Mthenjane and your viewers. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So mental health, the way we need to think about it really is on a continuum. On the one side of the continuum, you have individuals who are thriving. You have people who are content, who are dealing with their relationships, for whom their mind is fully connected and supporting them in the way that they do things. And on the other side of the continuum, right at the end, you've got people who are mentally ill. They are depressed, they are anxious, they have postpartum depression, all sorts of traumas that they're dealing with. So it really is a continuum. Some days are better than others, but all of us have mental health, but not all of us have mental illness.
Now, has COVID-19 made things worse? Has COVID-19 made mental health worse?
Oh, definitely. We're seeing the numbers rising, the numbers of suicide, the numbers of depression. But I mean, Mthenjane, if you just think about it, people who are living alone, who are feeling more isolated, and we know that connection is human beings' primary need. The ability or the inability to be connected to others then becomes very difficult. The inability to have our social gatherings, and now the fear and anxiety around whether or not one will get ill again. So definitely it has not been good for us from a mental health perspective during COVID.
Yeah, before we can talk about some of the key signs to look out for and what you can do, I saw research recently that was doing the rounds that says South African men are the ones who are committing more suicides than women, even globally. I think we compare only to a country like Russia. Why would that be?
Yeah, so it's quite interesting. The numbers that we've seen from some of the research that we've done is that women. The numbers are not so much that women do not commit suicide at the same rate. The numbers more talk to successful suicide. The attempts are quite similar. But because the way that men commit suicide, which is usually quite aggressive, hanging, shootings, etc., you can imagine that success rate would be higher than it would be for women who largely are taking tablets, are slitting their wrists and doing those sorts of engaging in those sorts of behaviors.
The numbers are bad.
No, the numbers are high, but I think what's quite important to understand is that there are signs long before somebody actually decides that, or not decides, but long before somebody.
Yeah. Can we talk about those signs? Sorry to come in there, Linda. Can we talk about those signs? What are those signs? I mean, we all have loved ones, and we're all going through these tough times, as you've just eloquently explained, especially now under the pandemic. What should I be looking out for around the people around me, my loved ones and friends and so on?
I think it's important to just look, for instance, at people who are losing interest in doing the things that they normally do. People who normally talk who are talking not less. You know, sometimes we leave our teenagers behind closed doors, but those doors sometimes need to be open and we just need to check in. People who are binging a lot more than we normally would, either on alcohol or drugs, but just the changing patterns. People who are getting involved in risk behavior, so people who are doing things that they would otherwise not do, like, for instance, at a traffic light, getting out and actually threatening people when it's not quite normal that people do that. So there are many signs that we can see which are largely, you would say, uncharacteristic of the people that you know. So I would really say we really must be noticing the people around us so that we have a sense of being able to. Yeah.
Okay. Now it is October. It's Mental Health Awareness Month in our country, among other themes, but this is a very key one. Action steps. I mean, what do you then do, and what would your overriding advice be to anybody who's listening to this and says, you know, I actually need to do something for myself, or I need to assist a loved one who's going through a difficult time, so we don't get to a suicide?
Yes. So first thing is, you know, stigma is a huge problem, not just in our current country, but the continent and the world over, because mental health is thought of in very negative terms. We even start talking about witchcraft when we talk about mental health. But mental health is a real illness, one that has to do with your brain functioning. It has to do with chemicals in your brain becoming dysregulated. So the first thing would be to respect the fact that mental illness is all around us, and we should really look out in terms of the signs that I was talking about. But for you as an individual, please understand that you can reach out. There are places where you're able to reach out and really receive help. And for those of us who are receiving people who are saying, I am not well, to really be open-minded about that. I think that becomes very important. The other element, then, is for us to actually really, as individuals, be in touch with ourselves in terms of having self-compassion, treating ourselves kindly, and allowing ourselves to be looked after. When people say, but I see that you're not quite okay, and really just reflecting on that and trying to understand what that means.
Okay, no,
being connected to people.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, Linda. We just have to leave it there for now. That makes perfect sense. Linda Mthenjane, a clinical psychologist, founder of Space Between Us. So please be on the lookout for any of those signs. It is tough time in this October. It is Mental Health Awareness Month. I'm sure there will be many campaigns that are being done. So just be aware and assist where you can. Be kind and be loving.